In our modern myths, we still echo this longing for divine order. Star Wars reveals, through the Republic's ideals of unity and the Jedi's devotion to justice, what they are. While the Empire warns of corruption and imbalance, the Republic brings the best and the ideals of heaven. The Force, that unseen energy binding all life, mirrors the spiritual gravity of the universe, reminding us that our journey toward harmony is both cosmic and deeply personal. So what can you tell us about the model of Star Wars and what that teaches us?
Well, it's interesting that life imitates, what did they say, the story or whatever. I mean, we basically are living
Art
in,
projects the reality. Art projects the real world. Yeah.
right. I mean, we're actually living in the middle of a story that's even more interesting than the one that's in Star Wars, and we're living it out. We're acting it out right now. Actually, what we do. But I think for Star Wars, the big lesson is discerning that the establishment, even though it's perceived to be right or acting the will of God on behalf of everyone, isn't always right. That you could recognize the things in the establishment that may be wrong, and then if you become the rebel that fights against it, we don't want to think of ourselves as rebels, but the establishment isn't always correct. And so sometimes it's our duty to stand. But on the other hand, if we're in an established government or whatever, and we are, then if everything is behaving correctly, we should do our best to support that. So really it comes down to discerning your environment, if you're going to be a rebel or not. I mean, and actually doing what you think is right. And of course, we have our indwelling spirit to lead us into that. But discernment is very important for us to see what is right and wrong, and that's part of the confusion we're all going through right now.
And what you're saying, I am the concept came to my mind is the political game and how, as long as there's power, as long as there's money, which is power, basically turns out to that, people get intoxicated and they become destructive. And although they maybe went into government to really help people and serve people, when suddenly they are presented with these incentives, let's call them, it becomes a political game. And now suddenly, instead of looking to fulfill or to secure those rights, let's say that we were talking about, you suddenly are securing your individual rights, your individual gains, and you stop serving the people and you start serving your interests. And this is not endemic of the US or Mexico or all countries fall to this, because it's people that really manage these governments. It's that human factor that is imperfect. That should Now the question is, can we avoid that? How can we go beyond it? We're talking about Star Wars, and if we mirror that in Star Wars, I see that, yeah, the Empire was bad because it was the Siths, but suddenly you see that the Republic wasn't. And if you look at the earlier the Acolyte, you see that there's a fracture there, and that there's even a conflict within the Jedi Order, and in the last trilogy, in the saga of the Skywalker saga, the last part, the last three movies, we see that even Yoda and Luke destroy the Jedi tree of knowledge and everything, because they see that they were arrogant, and that arrogance made them blind to see the threats. So this is what happens. You become arrogant, you lose sight, you become egotistical. These are a lot of elements that we see in Star Wars that are being played out today.
I think a lot of people are complacent because they're confused. They
Complacent.
they don't really know what to do. And honestly, the problem may seem so overwhelming that they don't even know where to start. But everyone can do something. And I would like to say that, I mean, this is an international audience. I would like to say that everyone should fight for their country, their local, wherever they're living, their community. And instead of trying to escape it and to go to someplace else they perceive to be better, stand and fight for making wherever you live better. And
Exactly.
and we want the whole world to succeed. We want the whole world to be prosperous. And one of the things we didn't talk about is that one of the great civilizers is trade, fair trade. And honestly, that's our one of the elements of our best hope right now, to become more universally tolerant of each other, to share cultures, to really enjoy each other's company, and to learn from each other, to, in a healthy, competitive way, raise the standard for
Hmm.
education, for the way we all have the benefits and advantages of civilization. We can help others and raise our own game, and we can do it through these ways without fighting, without conquering each other. We can do it together, and so that is what's really wonderful about it. And this thing with the Star Wars, it should teach us that together we can accomplish anything. Especially, it said we should never underestimate the spiritual power of Jesus, Spirit of Truth. He is uniting us. We all say we want unity. We already have spiritual unity through him because he lives with each one of us. And he's the great, Prince of Peace. We have a great future. We just need to realize it and work toward it, I think, and cooperate.
Yeah, and we were talking about the rebels and how we, if we come together, like Star Wars, we can overcome everything. And I like that part because, like the cosmic citizenship that they present of the galaxy, and that and that's what I really like about that as well. In Star Wars, there's no racism per se. I mean, we have creatures of different types and colors and sizes and whatever, and that's not an issue. It's really, you can see them coming together and uniting under one banner, uniting under one ideal. And this is important. I agree with you, Susan, that you have to be vocal. You can't, sometimes, like you're saying, we're complacent, and complacency just serves nobody. It serves the bad guys. Not only the human bad guys, that are attempting evil stuff, but also the other bad guys that are beyond our material plane, that are really also trying to disrupt through rebellion, through all these confusion. But really, the way that we fight them is not being complacent, is really raising up our voices, really putting a stand, making a stand. And that's really important. And that stand doesn't mean that, means that in your heart you must take that decision. You must take that you know will, and say, okay, I align myself to what the divine standards are of what this evolution of the world is and what we're trying to make, instead of falling into this concept of the Lucifer manifesto that says that we are all individual and we can do whatever the hell we want about with our lives without any consequences. And we see this is being played out right now.
And one of the things that came to mind as you were saying that is the problem of censorship, because freedom of speech is elemental to all heavenly ideal governments. If people can speak and be heard, we have the right to make up our own minds about. When the Lucifer rebellion happened, they didn't go around and promote their cause. They set up a tent and they promoted their cause, and then Gabriel represented the heavenly ideal in his place, and the heavenly hosts would go back and forth and listen and make up their minds. If we don't invade other people's space, let them speak, let them say, what they have to say and promote their cause, and we're able to do the same without being silenced, and let everyone make up their own minds what is real, what is good, what is right. That is the basic thing, the fundamental thing to keep a good civilization going, a good government going, when the people actually know the truth. And right now, I would say for decades, we've trusted every news source that we've had to have journalistic integrity. We knew the news we could receive was right, and we trusted it. But we also have enemies that say, there are countries that will say that they're good, they're patient, they'll play the long game. They will overcome and conquer without firing a shot. That deception is their greatest weapon. Now, so we should be we should be on the
Yeah.
ball about threats. And And I think right now our media is being abused, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's influence, dark money influence that people have become doubtful whether they're even hearing the truth.
And
So
that's
that's
really important. I mean, what you were saying is that we must hear both sides in order to make up our mind. How that's important. You were saying about the freedom of speech and how the war in heaven was played out. It wasn't what we envision of a bloody battle that happens here. I mean, they can't kill themselves, but it is a battle for their personality, their existence,
your
in
soul.
making their minds into following the will of God, or you know doing not doing it, and that's the final decision. So it's really they do cease existence, so they do die in a way. And but it's interesting how that played out. It was more of a debate. It was more of a, what we now see in the political arena. But how important it is, as you were saying, and we see it in that time, that there was deception. There was a camp that deceived and that really manipulated, and we're seeing the same thing right now. And we're not favoring one political side or the other political side. I think that all extremes are bad. But once you really discern, like you're saying, and you're not complacent, and you ask and you question, then you can start to make up your own particular point of view, and really making up your mind, and using that truth. Because many times, like we were saying, if you have the spirit of truth inside of you, that's where you need to look, and that's where it needs to really harmonize inside of you for you to really trust it.
That's really true. And I think that also it's important for us to see the future ideal and to work toward that. Because if we just think now and we don't learn from the past, that's another problem. If we wipe out history, we don't learn from the mistake. And so, you know what they say about that. If you repeat doing the same thing over and
If you don't learn your history, you're gonna repeat. And just commented that with my daughter the other day, that she's a real history fan, and she says, "Shoot, I mean, you can understand everything there." Yeah, and that's it. And it's like history is understanding. It's like an individual will have a psychologist. A psychologist. History is humanities. Humanities psychologist. You understand what's really why we're here, why the situation. Yeah.
yeah, where she got that interest in history from.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, so the future, if we can just visualize this beautiful future and that we know from the ages of light and life, the epochs that we'll go through, and we can visualize that and know that that is the plan, that's the goal for us. That's what God wants. He wants us to survive and succeed.
Yeah.
That's his will. Then
And
we
become perfect like he is perfect. And how, what contrast with the Lucifer rebellion is like, I want you to be, I value you so much that I want you to be as perfect as I am.
right. And for the Bible people out there, if they go like to the prophets, like for John, the apostle John, he saw a future where there was a holy nation, the whole world. We were a holy nation of people who loved God. That's where we'll end up. And then we should count on that. And that makes you feel good. That makes you think, okay, we're not dying tomorrow. We're going to get through this. This is relax and engage, get involved.
And we're part of that history. Sometimes I see, the battles, and, the great wars and World War II and everything, and, the sacrifices that people did. And we are going to be in that part. And maybe we're not going to see, the fruits of everything that is happening, but we contributed to that, right?
Like, as long as
Awesome.
we did contribute. That's that's all we
That's
can
all
do.
we can do. Yes. Well, thank you, Susan. This has been a great talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It's really interesting to unpack, on the government part and spiritual perspective. Thank you for all this, and thank you, everybody. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe. If you didn't, you don't do it. You can share it. You can post notifications so you know when we're coming out. So just remember, if you liked it, tell people about it. And once again, Susan, thank you for coming. We'll have to keep on talking about this. And for the rest of you, thank you for watching. I'm Santiago Kneeland. This is The Divine Within. Take care and carpe diem.
On the Divine Within podcast, we'll share real conversations to help you find a personal connection with God. My goal is to support your faith, growth, and journey toward discovering the divine within yourself. Join us to deepen your faith and spiritual journey.